State officials in 3 states are offering affordable education to college students in exchange for a shot in the arm.
New York is giving out 50 full-ride scholarships. Colorado is offering 25 $50,000 scholarships. And in Ohio, 5 full-ride scholarships are up for grabs. Students just have to enter a lottery once they've received the COVID vaccine. Senior editor and reporter at the Daily Poster, Andrew Perez, joins us now to discuss. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thanks so much for having me.
Andrew, tell us a little bit about how this lottery is working.
Well, I can tell you in the state of Maine, if you've got a COVID vaccine, you just have to fill out some information on a state website, just basically tell them where you got the vaccine, and then you're eligible for the lottery. I'm not exactly sure how it works in other states, but I'm sure it's pretty similar.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So what effect do you think this is actually going to have on the vaccination rate? Because one of the big questions here is young people actually getting the vaccine. And this seems to be something that would obviously create a massive incentive, but it's still, there's the problem of getting kids off their couches and making them feel as though it's something that's safe. And that brings up the question of why are young people not getting vaccinated? Are they not getting vaccinated at the levels that some people hoped to see or expected to see because they are skeptical of the vaccine, or is it simply just because the incentives for them to do it just aren't there?
I think that people will probably take the vaccine when they can for the most part. I think in some respect, like kids couldn't get the vaccine until probably a few weeks ago in some places. But I do think kids are actually fairly into the COVID vaccine. There's all this like stuff on like TikTok, like Team Pfizer, Team Moderna.
Yes,
so I think
the hot person vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. I do think that there's definitely some enthusiasm for it.
So generally what you're feeling on incentivizing the vaccines, there are multiple programs incentivizing vaccine, kind of distribution and taking of vaccines, that is, around the country with different kind of metrics. What's your feeling on that kind of incentivization of it?
Anything you can do to encourage people is probably the right thing to do. At some level, it's kind of dark, right? In that we have vaccines in this country. We're one of the few countries where you can just go into a pharmacy and get a vaccine pretty much anywhere. And in a lot of other countries, it's just not like that at all. There's a real lack of resources in a lot of developing countries, and I think we need to be facilitating distribution of the vaccines much more widely. So in that respect, here, if you need to incentivize people, I guess it's good, but you shouldn't necessarily have to, right? Like, we've all kind of won the lottery already. Right. You can go get the vaccine if you want it.
Right, and that's where states creating the system is so interesting, because states play a role in driving up tuition costs, absolutely. And so now just sort of preying on or exploiting that to get people vaccinated without turning their heads in the direction of actually fixing it is a totally different thing. And speaking of sort of the dark side of this conversation, why is it that this particular incentive, in your opinion, is something that state officials thought would be effective?
Yeah, it has to do something with the fact that public tuition has soared at public universities over the last 2 decades. Like it's up like 80%. It costs probably $30,000 to get a in-state tuition in most states. So it's a lot of money, and that people walk out with an average of $30,000 in student debt, or more if you went to a private school. So, or significantly more. So yeah, it's definitely something that that's just an issue that's affecting young people in a pretty big way right now. And there's a reason why young people can't buy homes. There's a reason why there's also issues that the job market's just not the same as it was when our parents were younger too. It's difficult right now. So yeah, there's obviously it's a big cost. It's kind of crazy that it's on, it's comparable to winning the lottery, right? Like, you can either win a scholarship right now, or you can win $1 million lottery ticket.
Right.
Yeah, and Emily, that's absolutely right. You bring up a huge point that we shouldn't have to make this a lottery in the first place, not only because people should be readily accepting the vaccine and understand how lucky they are that they live in a country that actually has regular access to it, but goodness gracious, college is expensive. As somebody who paid student loans for years, up until literally just 2 years ago, I'd have been first in line for this scholarship. I'd have been like, yes, sir, give me the vaccine right now, put my name down on the list.
Right, they're exploiting their own, they're essentially exploiting a problem that they exacerbate.
Exactly.
Great. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for your thoughts. We really appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Andrew Perez of the Daily Poster. We will be back soon with more Rising.